Hello, everybody, and welcome to today a very, very important discussion we would have on the current circumstances in Afghanistan vis-a-vis the women who are, suffering due to the issues and the problems and the circumstances that have, kind of gripped Afghanistan today. So we have with us a very special guest. She is not only a woman activist, in fact, she is one of a veteran journalist and a very esteemed writer. I would like to, extend our very, very warm welcome from India News Stream to Sheba Aslam, ma'am. And it'll be a really a very, very pleasant experience to learn things from her, especially when it comes about we talk about women and we talk about the problems that the women are facing today in Afghanistan. So, Sheba, ma'am, can we have you here?
Yeah, I'm very much here.
Okay. Ma'am, as we were discussing about the problems and the issues that are today, kind of engulfing the land of Afghanistan with the Taliban taking over, what do you feel, in terms of woman empowerment? Is there anything left? Or if I put it like this, would there be anything left in the long run?
Thank you very much, and thanks for the kind words of introduction also, Swatiji. You have asked a question that is in everybody's mind and on everybody's lips also, that what about the women? What are they going to do after this Taliban coming back to power? See, we have to remember one thing, that all the emancipatory achievements that we have seen all over the world, they are a very they have in the nature of very evolutionary form. We cannot imagine that we can have a very emancipatory legal system for women under Taliban from top down. So whatever articulation and whatever homework Taliban have done this time to articulate themselves, to make themselves more tolerable, to make themselves look astute and somebody who respect human rights and women rights, etc., etc. Once they are trying it, we should welcome it. We must use this tactic of carrot and stick. Whenever they are doing something nice, something good, we must appreciate that, and that is the only way out. We cannot arm twist them into anything. And the soft power of cajoling and the soft power of appreciating is the only thing that we have on our hand. And by we, I mean the world community, those who are worrying about the power, about the human rights of Afghani women. One thing is that. But one more thing is that we have a very cliche understanding of women rights. So many people on media, on mainstream media, they are talking about that okay, Taliban has allowed to to run for go to offices or universities, etc., but they are imposing sharia hijab upon them. This is funny. Girls in Malaysia, Indonesia, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or even in India, Muslim girls are, adorning their hijab and performing as well. They are achievers. So at this juncture, saying that just because a headscarf is there, so it is very oppressive. It isn't. In America, Muslim women are adopting hijab. I am not a supporter of hijab or opposing hijab. What I'm saying is, let us don't dovetail everything to this one piece of cloth, because it doesn't matter really. And if Taliban have allowed them to go to schools, to go to their workplaces, to offices, whatever, it is a big change, and they have learned their lessons also. So let us build upon that.
There is a question which comes out of this answer only, ma'am, that when you talk about Sharia, right, and this is something that Taliban has imposed last time also, if I am not wrong. Now they are saying that we will still go on with the Sharia law, but we will still support woman empowerment. That's what you said during your answer also. So do you think it's ironical, or do you think that they will interpret Sharia in a way that might give women some power?
This is the most the biggest silver lining is this only, that in 1995 to 2000, their own Sharia was not to allow women outside home without a mahram, without a male family member. And in 2021, what they are saying is that they will allow women to go to their workplaces to study. In fact, they have themselves proved that their Sharia is not static. It is a matter of interpretation only, and it can be done by human agency. And therefore, we need this. This will be the biggest, argument whenever Afghani women would want to, muster up the courage to ask for more. And when they will be told that no, you cannot change Sharia because it is divine, this very fact will come to the fore, and they will say, see, you have yourself moderated, you have yourself changed as far as Sharia is concerned. So one more change or two more changes would not make much of a difference or would not hurt Islam. Actually, Sharia with capital S is located in Quran and in the behavior of the Prophet, that is called Sunnah. But Sharia with small s is man-made. It is the crystallization and interpretations of those directives and values given in Quran in a very localized manner. So Sharia with capital S has so many variants. Iran has its own Sharia. Saudi Arab has its own Sharia. Among Muslims in India also, we have several forms of Sharia. Like, I would like to give you this example. I was in Iran. I was traveling, and it was midnight when I reached I reached Isfahan, and I was wondering how to reach my hostel at this midnight. And when I went to this taxi stand, they allotted me a taxi. The driver was a Muslim woman, and I was so relieved that at the midnight, at this wee hour, I will be in the company of a woman. And I reached my destination, and we developed some kind of bond. She could not speak English, so we were talking in language of signs and symbols. But it was such a relief. At the same time, I'm talking about this happened in 2013. At that time, Saudi Arab was not allowing their women to drive at all. Forget about being a cabbie. And at the same time, United Arab Emirates had women police force. I have seen them. They are driving Lamborghinis in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai. The police force, female police. So all they are all governed by Sharia. But this Sharia with small s is not static. It has been interpreted in number of ways, and it can be interpreted in more ways in Afghanistan also. So we have to capture this moment, grab this, and then use it in future.
Now, coming from this only, your the lovely interpretation of whatever you talked about, and you gave us insights. There was an incident, ma'am, yesterday in Afghanistan where a hotel was evacuated by the Talibani forces. And it was said that in that hotel, all the women staff who was working in that hotel was told to go home. They were kind of forbidden to, that was reported by BBC. In fact, I was going through an article.
Yeah. Swati ji, there is a problem of news also, the authenticity of news, or whether the visual and the interpretation of those visuals are correct or not. I'm sure this must be true. I'm not saying it cannot be true. It must be true. There could be many reasons for the evacuation. They might be needing it to host their own men, their fighters and all those things, and they don't want women. I think if they are hosting their men over there, it is very unsafe for women to be there, because these fighters, these Afghani fighters, I would not like to be under the same roof. So it is better that they evacuated it. I look at it like that. But they haven't been given even a week's time. And if we want that everything right will come out of that place, we are mistaken, and we are being irrational. We have to see, if schools are still conducting exams and girls are going in Herat and in other parts of the country and villages also, that is something that is a silver lining. If they are themselves giving interviews to female anchors, female news persons, that itself is a silver lining. And we were dreading something else. We were expecting and dreading something else. At least these are some respites. And this is important, that evacuation or sundry happenings here and there, we must not sitting so much so far away from that place, not having authentic knowledge or not having enough reporters from India or from any of the countries where they can report factually. We have to understand that news is a most misleading commodity this time, and this has a ground in the fact that we had no intelligence, no report that they have gained so much of ground in Afghanistan, in spite of having so many. I mean, thousands of projects were being carried on in that land by the world community, including India. And I take it as a major failure. The intelligence failure is the major failure. We had no clue. So we are in no place to say whatever is happening there and whatever is being interpreted from that visual is exactly the same.
I think I totally agree with you there, because these days it's so difficult to really kind of point out what is genuine and what is planted. Also, I really do not know if I am in a position to say this correctly, but I somewhere feel that there could be many questions and many options there when we talk about, like you said, this was a very good observation you had, that why was the world sleeping when this was going on? Was there a failure of getting information, or was it not genuinely looked at, maybe? So there is always this question. So ma'am, another and a very, very important question which will be very close to your heart. You are a woman activist. You have been there for women all the time, talking about the rights and a privilege and what a woman deserves. Now, just like you, there are people like Malala Yousaf and other such women activists and women protesters who are a little scared right now. So what do you think is their future, in terms of how the things have changed in Taliban?
My heart goes out to the my heart goes out to them, to those girls, to those young girls who were going to their colleges, universities, and performing in their offices or whatever jobs they were doing. I wish they continue. The news of protests by certain groups of women in Kabul today, it was disheartening because it is too early. First, we need to engage this new government in a way that they start respecting the world opinion. They have nothing to lose today. Even if they start, gunning everybody, they have nothing to lose. They have already the support of China, Russia, Pakistan, Iran, and Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. They are UAE, Saudi Arab. Can you imagine? Without any promise of any emancipatory laws or anything good, they have got the support. At this juncture, if you are protesting and if you are not letting them first, get settled, and the world also engage with them. Before that, if you are, in Hindi there is an idiom that "kache phal na todo." This is very important. That you have to wait when to pluck the fruit. You have to wait, and if you don't wait, then I don't see any agency or any way to arm twist them into something that they don't themselves want to do. So this is something where I'm scared of this. People start protesting or doing something like that, and Taliban has nothing to lose at this juncture. They can go to any extent. They are not a very kind group of people.
Somewhere what I interpret from this is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that you want us to wait and watch. You want us to, see how things are coming, how things are changing, and what would be the next, I'll say, the next step that Taliban would take vis-a-vis the woman fraternity in Afghanistan. So
pragmatism and patience. These two are the
Yes.
key ingredients at the moment. Let them get settled. Let them have some kind of diplomatic ties, and let all these people, these neighboring countries and the world community engage with them in financial way, in projects, in nation building, in economic, establishment of banks, etc. Once they are entangled in the, in the ways of the statecraft, Only then you can tell them, okay, if you don't do this, we are going to take action. At this juncture, why are they going to listen to you? They have paid a cost, and a heavy cost of lives. They are not going to be arm twisted into any of your fancy idea, which is a fancy idea for them. So pragmatism and patience is very important. In nowhere in any part of the world, people have, or the people who are marginalized or weak or minorities, they haven't gained anything out. In a sudden way. There has to be a long drawn engagement, and this is the time when we have to sow the seeds for that.
I think I totally this would be a wrap from our side, but thank you so much for this lovely thought, and the last thought that you gave, that Rome was not built in a day, and so won't be the future lives of women in Afghanistan. We should wait and watch with patience. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving your valuable time. Thank you so much for being there. And we really, really wish to see you more when we discuss
Surely.
such important issues. So I would like to thank Shiva Aslam Fehmi ma'am for giving us time at India News Stream. Thank you, ma'am.